How nice to see you.
You too.
Do we do a little bit of chat at the top before we start? How do you like to do it?
Just, how's everyone?
Do you like a hard in? Or everyone is good. How are you guys? How's Spike? How's Rudy? All right?
Great, thanks. We were just talking about Dash the other day.
Well, he misses Spike.
Reminiscing about Halloween, basically.
Yeah, it was a certain time wandering around those London streets. You're largely Stroud area now, aren't you?
Yeah, Gloucestershire now. So
Up the hill.
It's all changed, but it's good. You know, we kind of don't get back as much as we'd like, but yeah. So sorry, I'm not there in person today.
No, I would have been amazed, but it's nice to see you. And I love your podcast. You had my very great friend Tom Basden on recently, who's my Bezzy mate, who I see a lot. I love those two. I love that film as well. Love that film.
Yeah, totally. And and talking to you about music as well, I guess what's really interesting, I think, to start off with is whether music forms a relationship with you around writing, in terms of some people lean into it, some people can't, in terms of, because of the sometimes the emotional weight that music can carry with it. It can sometimes overpower, what they're trying to do or the flow.
Well, I quite often write tracks into the scripts.
Yeah.
So actually, I wrote the first episode of Malice. I looked it up, knowing I was going to be talking to you. September 2021.
Oh, wow.
And the first page I wrote had Mick Jagger's Sweet Thing on it. It was literally the first thing I ever wrote. And here we are 4 or 5 years later, and it's there. And I even write the lyrics in sometimes. Yeah. So there's a few of them I write in. Leonard Cohen was written into the scripts very early on, and that felt like a big tone for the show. Because obviously sort of set in Greece and him living on Hydra. And so there's a few tracks that I very much wrote in early, and you don't necessarily expect them to make it all the way through production and the process, but they really have. So that's great. And then obviously other people bring other ideas.
Yeah.
Brilliant music supervisors. I've always loved the Doors' Peace Frog, but I didn't know that was going to turn up, and somehow that worked.
But when you're making these choices, what is, I guess, like you mentioned there, like the lyrics sometimes make it in, so it's almost they're driving narrative, they're drawing emotion of a character, they're driving a kind of like a feeling of something. It's not just a case of got to get Leonard Cohen in. Do you know what I mean?
No, not that. It's definitely so putting Mick Jagger's Sweet Thing from whenever it was, early 90s. It just felt like that was Jamie Tanner's character. He's the certain age that he would have been listening to that in the early 90s. The thrusting beat of it just felt, it had the sort of swagger that you wanted for this venture capitalist who's a bit pleased with himself and full of himself. And it had a sort of strutting coolness to it that I just thought was great for that character and great for the show. And it just makes a great beginning. And we watched it last night. Actually, I'd never seen it. We had a screening of it last night on a big screen. Tell you what, Mick Jagger on a big screen really works.
Got your own rock show going on there.
Yeah. And then the Leonard Cohen was used as a sort of, because we were half filming in Greece and it's a story that's very much set in Greece, and there's a sort of lyricism to his amazing poetic lyrics, and that gets used in episode 2 as a sort of counterpoint to what our lead character is doing. In episode 2, he goes to a sort of group sex session, and somehow putting Leonard Cohen against that makes it strange and odd and not sexual but something else. Yeah. And it has a Greek vibe to it.
What was the, I guess, inspiration behind the show and the characters? Where did it start?
It came about, so me and my good friends Tim Hinks and Imogen Cooper, who are the three of us, and that sort of was the writer's room, we were actually working on something else. And in the manner of those writing rooms, rather than talking about what we should have been talking about, we all somehow was just chatting. We realised that we knew 3 families who'd had a Manny, and it had really changed the dynamic of the families. And then I remember there's a Joseph Losley film called The Servant. Do you know that film with Dirk Bogarde? It's a really great early 60s, black and white. Dirk Bogarde plays a manservant. It's a Harold Pinter script. It's a brilliant Harold Pinter script. Black and white film. Very 1960s London. And it's Dirk Bogarde and James Fox.
Yes, I have seen it.
It's an amazing film. It's an amazing film.
Good.
Yeah. So I said, well, maybe we could do obviously, sort of, nanny thrillers is a little mini genre. And I thought, well, if we can make it a Manny, and do it a little bit like The Servant, which is psychological power games.
Yeah.
Then Tim and Imogen got excited about that. And then at the same moment, we also said, and let's see if Jack Whitehall would be up for it, because Jack is the sort of perfect Manny, but also there's a terrible empty void at the heart of Jack, which no one's put on screen. I say that having worked with him a lot and knowing him well. So I phoned him immediately and went, do you fancy playing a sociopathic Manny? And so the idea and the role and the lead actor all came together in the first meeting, really.
That's amazing. Because I mean, I've only seen the first 2 episodes.
Right.
And the kind of the gentle kind of reveal of certain elements of the character are just so clever.
Oh, thanks.
And the way that you sway as well of your kind of, of how you feel about quite a number of characters is so interesting. But God, he plays like a sociopath so well.
Yeah, well, there's a great tradition of comedians playing baddies. That's its own little mini genre as well. So there's a really good tradition of, often comedy actors, when they play straight and play baddies, it's all... And we always thought, there's a version of Malice that has a, established dramatic actor playing Adam, and that would have been fine. But the moment you put Jack in it, it just somehow pops and feels fresh. And also, on a plot level... It was really important that the family didn't seem like idiots by having this guy around who is trying to psychologically destroy them. So you needed someone who was really charming, really funny, superficially. And obviously there's no one better than Jack for that. And I think it's just exciting to see Jack, behave really badly, dangerously.
Yeah, and because it's that thing where he has that ability to kind of get so many, like the kids on side and all that kind of, you know what I mean? It's like, it's that manipulative kind of, that subtle manipulation of all those kind of different characters with with his own selfish goal at the end of this.
Right.
Which I don't know what it is yet, which I'm very excited to discover.
Well, I was also, because, we talked about The Servant a lot, but then there's also these 90s thrillers that are kind of back in vogue at the moment that people
Fatal Attraction's in there for sure.
Bit of Fatal Attraction, like Single White Female, obviously Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Hand That Rocks the Cradle, yeah.
And then there's one that actually, I think is quite an underrated film called Unlawful Entry, which is Ray Liotta playing a really scary LAPD cop with Madeline Stowe and Kurt Russell.
Yes.
And he pushes his way into that family. That was the one I went back and watched a couple of times. It's a really underrated film, I think. I mean, it's a very sort of 90s studio thriller, but a really good one. And
why Grease?
It's the best creative decision I've ever made. Because we thought, well, 6 episodes, it's a story about a man bringing down a family in a house. Mm-hmm. And I thought, so is this 6 episodes in one home? It's very much about the house. I thought that's going to feel, you're going to want to get out that house. And then I thought, well, these wealthy families have second homes. And so let's bring some sun. Let's have Adam, push his way into the family on their holiday where they're a bit relaxed. So where does a wealthy international family have a nice home? Quite possibly on a Greek island. And I've always loved Greek myths. My producing friend and partner Imogen has her mum moved to Greece, and so she grew up in Greece in the holidays. I've gone there a lot, and just the story about revenge felt right in Greece. And without giving any spoilers away, episode 1 and 2 are in Greece, and then we go back there in episode 6 for a big finale that, amazingly, and so all credit to Mike Barker, the director, and Imogen for finding this Temple of Apollo on an uninhabited island that we managed to get the crew to. Had to build our own little harbour, and that's where the big finale takes place, in front of a ruined Temple of Apollo on an island with goats. Sort of, you get this Paros, Anti-Paros, and then a little island called Despotico, and we went out there, and that felt really right to have a big confrontation about revenge and retribution. Hopefully the way I'm describing it maybe makes it sound a bit theatrical. I don't think it is on screen. It's just a great place to film.
Yeah, it's so weird because I was watching it. I was like, it looks so familiar. So in a previous lifetime, I had a half Greek boyfriend, and his in fact, he now has a house as well with his family on Antiparos.
Right.
And we used to go to Antipros every summer because his mum and dad had this little place, and it was so like barren. There was nothing there really when we went there.
Right.
Um, had like they had like these tiny little, almost like little tiny little shacks on the front. They were the houses that they had, but it's kind of become this sort of lush kind of, like you say, like all these kind of people have these huge houses that they've bought the land and they've built these kind of, infinity kind of houses that look out into this most extra. It's a really special place.
Well, Antiparos is. So we filmed on Paros, which is
Yeah.
quite smart and wealthy now, and so it felt like the
Yeah.
sort of place that Jamie Tanner, this successful venture capitalist, would have his house. We went and looked at many villas.
Yeah.
And then Antiparos has become this sort of billionaire's playground. It's quite odd.
Yeah.
And we were being driven around it looking for locations once, and there was a sort of motorcade. And we said to the Greek guys, "What's that?" And they said, "Oh, that's Obama visiting Tom Hanks."
No.
That's what Antiparos is now.
Has it still got the little outdoor cinema? Do you know?
Not that I spotted. It's got a slightly odd atmosphere now because it's populated by billionaires. It's a bit. It's not my most favourite
Bit wrong.
place.
Yeah, okay. Maybe
Around
I
the
won't
back of the
try.
island, it's an incredibly beautiful harbour. Anyway, it's stunning. It's lovely.
Yeah.
It's just not. I mean, my taste would not be to go to that Greek island. I would pick a different one myself. But it felt really good for the show and for Jamie Tanner's world. And we found this incredible villa. When I say we, the very brilliant Greek producers called Fallaro House. They're great. They've just done Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. That's,
Oh, wow.
So we're small fry. Yeah, they
company.
took us around these amazing homes that look out over the sea on Paros. And that became so half the show is in that house in Greece and the other half of the show is in their London home. So it's a sort of story of two houses in a way.
Yeah. It's lovely as well because even in those first two episodes, there's a nice like kind of little embrace of Greek culture as well with the wedding and the kind of the Greek music and dancing and stuff as well. And that's another great scene of his kind of seduction and manipulation sort of thing as well. It's
Oh, I'm
brilliant.
so pleased with that wedding scene. It felt like sort of 70s cinema. It was like a really
Yeah.
And there was a little town at the top of the island, and again, Dimitri and the Greek producers and Imogen, we just invited the village to that and basically just staged a proper Greek wedding with actual Greek bands and the Greek music. And Jack does that, it's called a Zebekiko dance, which is a sort of very dramatic, sort of kind of over-dramatic solo male dance. So Jack did quite a few rehearsals for that and then had to perform it in front of all these genuine Greek locals who all clapped him along. That was a very memorable night's filming. And he wouldn't mind me saying, he was a little bit, he'd learnt this dance and there was a lot of people watching it and he was slightly performing it for a while. And then one of the Greek guys went up to him and said, "You should just have a double vodka." So he did. And then suddenly,
Oozle down you.
transformed. Basic rule for acting: double vodka. That was a very memorable night shooting that because, as I say, we sort of staged a Greek wedding, and all the locals really got into it, came along and watched.
That's nice.
And I think you can feel it. It feels
Yeah.
authentic.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it, isn't it? When you kind of embed yourself in people's real worlds, to have them embrace you is really lovely because then you feel it when you're watching it that it feels authentic.
Yeah, that's always really key for me. I mean, so Malice is unusual. Normally, when I've been lucky enough to do shows in the past, I sort of find a world that I'm interested in. I've done the Church of England or some embassies or a military show I'm doing at the moment and go in and learn that world. And so Malice was a bit unusual in terms of it being more of a sort of thriller plot written for a particular star who would bring a particular energy. So it was all about getting the tone right for me, really, making it work as a thriller, but making sure that it always had this dark comedy in it. So that it feels, I hope it feels distinctive. It gets more and more thrillery and more dramatic, but I hope the dark comedy is always there.
Yeah, and that, like you say, like I think with Jack in particular, he balances that line really well. Do you know what I mean? Of kind of not leaning too much into either side of it as well. I imagine, but how do you write something like that? In terms of the episodic nature of it as well. It's not just a case of kind of telling the story and really traversing that line between those two elements, but episodically as well, in terms of, each episode is, like a mini film in a way, but it's got to have a kind of, pull through to watch the next episode, to that kind of thing as well. How is that? How is it right in that sort of, in that way?
It's
For this
there's sort of
particular
two
genre,
sides
yeah.
to it. I mean, I haven't done much thriller writing, so it was really fun. It was me and Tim and Imogen, and we would just plan the hooks and the sort of thriller story engine beats up on the wall. But really, I'm a character writer, and so it was all about characters. Then you need to leave the space for the character scenes and the comedy and the interaction. And I was really keen to try and, as best possible, write, okay, they're a very unusual, wealthy family, but to write a really, I hope, sort of emotionally interesting, complicated family dynamic. So it was
Yeah.
a lot of thinking and talking about character. So one half of the work was all character writing and trying to nail the tone, the thriller comedy tone, and make it feel funny but never gaggy, and that all the comedy came from character. And then the other half of the sort of thinking process was plotting those thriller beats, making sure you get turns. And so, I don't think this is a spoiler. In episode 4, there's a long 20-minute sequence where Jack has to get rid of a dead body whilst also being a manny and driving the kids around to sport. And that was really fun to write, like a sort of Ripley-esque in my dreams, Patricia Highsmith-esque.
Yeah.
And that's really fun to write. So then you're writing sort of a thriller plot, but hopefully by putting the kids in it, singing their kids' songs, and by having Jack, it has a bit of wit to it as well.
Yeah.
But I think people will be quite surprised to see Jack killing someone in the way
Yeah.
he does.
Oh, wow.
I hope.
I wonder who it could be, because that's the other really interesting thing as well, is the characters and their relationships with each other, and how Jack's character manipulates those relationships, in terms of puts doubt, puts kind of like mistrust, and all those kind of different elements, kind of almost feeds those into certain relationships, which is so interesting to watch as well.
Yeah, and that was a lot of the plotting as well, is, all families have secrets and hidden agendas. So Jack, in his sort of role as Manny, and because he's charming, learns where these secrets and little points of tensions are, and then exploits them. So slowly starts to turn the family against each other through old boyfriends being resurrected suddenly, or just finding points of tension within the family. He behaves appallingly to Kit, the older son, does something really nasty to him.
Yeah.
I don't want to give any spoilers away, but that was the sort of that was the fun of it. Sometimes you feel like you're writing a thriller with, can he get rid of a dead body, and sometimes it's more psychological, and really it's a psychological thriller. So it's making sure all those little turns worked well was a big part of it.
How do you know, like, where's the kind of where the line is, in terms of, like, like kind of pushing things, like because there's got to be a line that you can't cross, isn't there, in terms of with certain things, or is there?
It's just instinct, isn't it? And where I would draw that line is not necessarily where other people would.
Yeah.
I would push it, I think, perhaps further than most. And I was very lucky having two directors who were really happy to go there. But there was definitely some scenes where Jack's character, I hope this won't stop people watching, I sort of observed the truth of the fact that a lot of sociopaths start out by hurting animals in life. So Jack really hurt some animals in a couple of episodes, and there was definitely notes about, do we want to see Jack Whitehall do that? And my answer was, yeah, we definitely do.
Well, I think you've got more people watching now that you said that.
Well, maybe, I don't know why. I think it'll go either way. But so that feels like a surprise. Well, I'm thinking of a scene at the beginning of episode 2 with those cats.
Yes.
So not everyone wanted that scene in the show.
Okay.
But the other thing I would say is Jack's brilliant at it, but David Duchovny and Carice,
David Duchovny.
their ability, those guys, to land wit without losing any of the drama or tension is just amazing. All three of them. So it's that calibration that you're after. Not everyone can do it.
And David and Carice as well are just like they've got a great chemistry, that sort of, like, even in that first episode, I think it's like in the first, 10, 15 minutes, where they kind of nip upstairs for a quick one. And then they kind of, as they're leaving, they're like, don't say it. And then he just is like, no filter,
Right.
just like lays it. And it's kind of, it tells you so much about that kind of relationship sort of straight away, sort of thing. It's really interesting. He's so good. He's so dry.
Oh my God, he's
and
good.
kind of,
Yeah. And just as I say, lands everything you hope for emotionally. Even in one sentence, he can move from the wit to the, arrogance or, it was really important that marriage felt really strong, because otherwise it's too easy for Adam to break them apart. So that was something we all talked about is, we need to make sure that Adam is properly charming, because otherwise why would this family have this parasite in their life? You had to believe he was a great Manny. And in the other direction, you had to believe that this is a family who really loved each other. Otherwise, it's too easy for Adam to pull them apart. So that was a sort of juggling act, getting that right.
Yeah.
But David and Chris are just brilliant together. When they danced together in episode 1, it's just great.
Did you have music playing on set for that?
What music did we have? It's Al Green, isn't it? No, I can't. Do you know what, Edith? I can't remember. We definitely had the music playing when Jack did his dance.
Yeah.
And obviously, David knew that it was going to be Mick Jagger at the very beginning of the show, where he's barbecuing and dancing around to Mick Jagger. I mean, I think it's fair to say David was really looking forward to doing that. So we knew we had that cleared, and we knew that Mick Jagger had said yes. So that was definitely being played.
That's the thing, though, isn't it? In terms of like getting the music cleared in advance, it's not always possible.
Amazon, I must say, Amazon are really into having the music, and as I say, it's a big part of the reason why all these tracks that were written in right at the beginning are there. It's pretty rare that happens.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I would just mention Alexis Scrapsas, who did the music, who he was brilliant at finding a really, I think anyway, really distinctive tone for the piece that felt both like a thriller. It's not conventional thriller music, it's not comedy music, it's something else. And
it's not easy to do. Do you know what I mean?
I think he'd tell you it's why he took it on. It's a real challenge doing score that allows it to feel like a thriller, but also allows all the dark wit. And he had a lot of fun in the first week getting all sorts of instruments, many of which I'd never heard of. I'm trying to think what there was. I mean, all sorts of dulcimers and lots of plucky noises and strange instrumentation that felt very characterful. I think it's a really characterful score.
Because it's so interesting in terms of, every production has a different sort of journey with how the creative team work and stuff. And obviously you've been very involved in this throughout the whole process, and it's not always the case where the writers want to or are part of that journey, but it's so lovely to hear that you've been there, you've seen this kind of through, and you've been creatively involved and collaborating right through to, even working with the composer and the directors on this as well.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. I think it's because it's about trying to land that tone, which is thriller and drama with wit. And it's sort of in vogue at the moment due to the success of, Succession and a show I worked on, The Great, and White Lotus. And it's, I can remember 10 or 15 years ago, drama felt too often, for my taste, very straight, and comedy was very gaggy. But I think at the moment, people want some wit in their drama,
Totally.
Not always, of
trying
course.
as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like
completely. In shows like Barry, I love, which is sort of a comedy, but obviously structured like a drama. So I love it, but I think calibrating that means you all need to work as a team. I mean, Alexis, when he first did the music, he was like, I don't know, we can't really talk about this. So he put 10 pieces of music together for us, 10 suites, and played it to me and Mike, the director, and Imogen. And went, of these 10, which one feels most like Malice? And we all, it was brilliant. And we all fed in and went, that feels like Malice to us. And he went, great. And out of that came that 3-note tune that became Adam's little theme. And so it's all very collaborative.
that's amazing. Like to kind of go to give you a menu of like 10 sweets.
Well, I think he just sort of thought it's very hard to talk about music.
Yeah.
So why not?
Everybody comes at it in different ways. Whether I was talking about this morning. It's like, I'm not musically trained. I can't talk about, time signatures and semi-quavers and all that nonsense. I come at it how it feels. And
Right.
it's like when you've got different people who come at it in different ways, a conversation is the only way to kind of really,
That's right.
yeah, come at it.
That's right. And then he would play us all these silly instruments. A trautonium. Do you know what a trautonium is?
No, but I like, sounds like
Trautonium,
some kind of
I don't know what it
Terminator.
was. It's a 1930s synthesizer that is quite extraordinary. It looks like a church organ,
Yeah.
and it's got all these buttons and dials. It looks like a sort of Soviet power station with all these buttons and digital dials and stuff. And then it makes this weird, nostalgic, ethereal noise. So that's in the show quite a bit. It's just him being brilliant, finding really characterful instruments
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and all sorts of sort of, I can't remember what it's called, like it's an African wooden sort of, like a xylophone, but with wooden bars instead. I don't know what that's called.
That's it. I mean,
A
that's...
marimba, I've just remembered.
Oh,
I didn't know what any of these things were.
it's great, isn't
It's
it?
fun,
Like, there
yeah.
needs to be a new, like some kind of amazing musical museum where we can all go
We go and
and
look
sort
at
of
these
just go,
weird, yeah.
yeah, hear what they sound like as well.
But I
Isn't
hope
it
so.
brilliant?
We saw it last night on the screen and hearing it on big speakers rather than in the edit. All those really characterful instruments really came across. It's great.
Having not seen the end of the show yet, I mean, is it wrapped up in this show, or is there a potential of more? Or is that giving too much away?
Aspects of it are definitely wrapped up. Not everyone will return, but there is the opportunity to do more. I don't know if we're going to do more, maybe. So, yeah, not everyone survives, but not everyone dies.
Okay, there we go.
But you know what? It was never... the first drafts of the script, in fact, we even shot this in that first scene at the beginning where Adam is pulled aside by Homeland Security and he's shown the pictures of of a bad crime scene.
Yeah,
In the original script, you saw what that was. So you knew who was going to live or die. And my view was, it's not about, who's going to die or who done it. This is why is he doing it? Why is this? And I was really keen that Adam's character, in some of those 90s thrillers, the baddies can feel a little bit too dimensional. They're just sort of, you don't really know why they are sociopaths. And even Ripley, Patricia Highsmith never explains. He's just a psychopath. But I was very keen that Jack's character was both a victim and a perpetrator. So you really learn why he's damaged at the end.
yeah.
So it's a sort of,
can't wait.
why is he trying to do it?
I'm really glad I actually wasn't sent all the episodes because I love when we find something to watch. Tom and I find something to watch together, and this is definitely going to be one of those for sure.
Oh, that's a very nice
like,
image
yeah,
for me to
totally.
have,
I
the
was
two
like,
of you
okay.
watching it.
Definitely. for
Thanks,
sure.
Edith.
Can't wait. It's so great to chat to you. Show's brilliant. It really, really is.
Thank you.
Huge congrats. Lovely to have you on. Hopefully it's the first of many episodes.
Excellent. And likewise, it's very
Yeah.
nice to see you too.